Hi Neil, welcome to the podcast. Mate, tell us a little bit about you. I've played rugby with you a few times. We've met through mutual friends, worked a little bit in the past. Tell us a little bit about you, rugby, where you come from, and this massive career change, mate.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for having me on. I live in Milton Keynes. I run a company called Caveman Conditioning, which is an outdoor fitness business. I originally was playing rugby, so I played rugby right the way from school, right the way up. Then moved over to America. I did season playing rugby in their Super League, which is it's now called I think it's now called the National League, but it's their top league over there. So lived in a lovely little ski town in Colorado for 6 months while we did that. Moved back to Milton Keynes. Was playing at a relatively high level over here, but trying to juggle a young family at the same time, which was hard. In the end, ended up going into recruitment. So I sort of not gave up the rugby, but sort of dropped down a few levels and it became a little bit more enjoyable. But then spent the majority of my time, last 15 years, doing recruitment, which I hated, absolutely hated. Got really big, got really overweight, carried on eating the sort of stuff I was eating when I was playing rugby. And then
along the way.
Sorry, mate?
And a few beers along the way.
Mate, exactly. A few beers along the way every Friday, Saturday with the work. And just really just started to get really fed up, really down about it. It wasn't the career that I wanted. It's something that I just kind of fell into because I needed to do it. And then just had this went along to this fitness group. Got inspired by the guy that was taking it, and decided at 32 I was going to give everything up and become a personal trainer for my sins. That's where we were.
So tell us a little bit about why you did it. But going back to your rugby, you played like quite high, even like when you came back from America, you played like Antill first.
Yeah.
Was it Bedford you were playing for?
Yeah, but so I came back from America. I was playing in America. Came back from there. I then was with the Bedford Blues, who were National 1 at the time.
Yeah.
So National 1 just below Premiership. Flitted around the academy and a few benches for the first, but didn't really make it, if I'm completely honest. Mainly down to fitness levels, down to having a baby, trying to juggle work. Didn't really commit to it like I should have done, if I'm honest. My fault. I'll admit that. I enjoyed it when I was in America, because when I was in America I was playing. We had an apartment, we didn't have to work, we were paid decent money to be there. They brought us over. So your life was literally training and rugby, which was brilliant. Come back to the UK, slightly different. So I was on the fringes of that academy and got a few benches, etc. in the first team, but didn't really make it. So then decided that, I'd drop down a level. And at the time, there was quite a few of the guys left, and we went over to Ampthill. And I played with them before when I was a bit younger. So I did a couple of years at Ampthill in their first team as they were growing. They're now National 1. So they'll be playing against the likes of Saracens, who've just been relegated this year. So they're now where they wanted to be. But I was kind of at that lower level, National 3, I think we were at the time. Did a couple of seasons with them as we were trying to get up through the ranks. But then you get a bit older, and they start bringing in the young guys, and they start getting ambition yeah, exactly.
It's a bit more and a bit harder. Like, brain says yes, memory says yes, I really want to get back playing, but then memory goes, nah, body doesn't want it anymore. Yep.
And again, it's the same thing. Recruitment is you're getting in early to work. You're working late. Rugby at that level needs a real commitment. and these young guys can do it. But when you've got family, you know, you're training 3 times a week, trying to do rugby training, taking your whole Saturday off, and you know we're travelling at that level as well. You know, you've got clubs all over the country, so there's a little bit of travelling on the Saturday. Eats into your family time, so it's you have to make a decision that it's probably not. You can't give it everything you want to give it, and I'm one of these people that if I'm not playing first team and I'm not putting everything into it, I'm just not enjoying it.
Yeah.
So, you know, to drop back, I mean, I really, really admire these guys who are still playing in like mid-40s, who have just, you know, they're the old timers who were once in the first team and they just drop back down and they've just enjoyed it. I really admire those guys, but that's not me. I couldn't do it.
I remember playing for Leighton, and we played down to the once, I think, in a cup game or something. And I was only playing for the thirds. And we ended up having a guy, well, I played seconds, thirds. I even played fourths once for a gig. Like, with guys who are like nearly double my age. And I was like, what? You guys are still playing? Like, there was one, we had one guy came off the bench. I think he was like 55 plus. I'm like, mate, you're going to get battered. And like, he's like, yeah, come on, give it to me. I don't mind. Someone take me down. It might wreck me for the week and I'll be recovering for a week, but I love it. And I'm like, mate, nah, couldn't do it. I remember seconds, I stepped up, played for a seconds game, and we had like 3 of the first team playing with us because they couldn't get in the first. And oh my God, it reminded me back when I was 16 playing for the under 21s. I got battered. I'm like, my body just does not like this anymore.
Yeah, I've got 5 kids as well, so you know, it was difficult to leave those kids at home. I mean, there wasn't 5 at the time; there was 3, but it was even 3 is enough. So
mate,
my wife
TV must be very boring in your household. That's all I can say.
Oh dear. So yeah, so that was it. I kind of like the recruitment really. I just lost everything. I lost all my fitness. I lost all the work that I put in. You just literally, you're at a desk all day. You know, it's fast food. It's beers at lunchtime. It's that that life that really just. Before you know it, I was playing golf. This is the story when I realised it. I was playing golf and we're up at Woburn playing golf, and I won the tournament, which I was probably on a dodgy handicap to be honest, but I managed to win the tournament. Had a photograph taken of me collecting the trophy with the MD of the company, and from the side, I was like, "Who's that guy?" The stomach on me was like, and I was like 18 stone, and I just thought, you know what, I've got to do something. I've got to do something about this now.
Yeah, I can remember like when cruise ship went and way back 20, like beginning of before I became PT, and I was like, he stepped me on the scales and he said it was a second op in like 9 months, and he's like, mate, you're like 107 kilos, like that's got to go. And I'm like, I looked at this, I was like, I wanted to cry, literally just cry, and like at this moment in time, this is the heaviest I've been since that day. Like, and I haven't trained throughout any of this pandemic. I've literally done an hour of, well, tell a lie. I've done 1 training session TRX. And I don't enjoy it. I want to go back to the gym. I enjoy my gym. I enjoy lifting heavy ass weight. That's me.
Yeah.
And I know I have the tools, the knowledge, and I know the discipline to do it. But why my theory is I'm fighting a mental battle of going, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do something I don't enjoy. Like, I can go and jump on, like, that's a bit of fun. To me, it's not training. Training is me going to the gym and doing it. So I can understand everyone's mental battles at this moment in time and looking at themselves and going, oh, shit. And I can understand where you came from, and I can understand why it spurred you on to have this massive career change.
Well, I was just really interested. One of the guys that I was working with, he said to me, "Look, my brother-in-law does this fitness group down at the football club." He said, "It's a little bit like rugby training." He said, "I think you'd probably quite enjoy it." So I was like, okay, we'll go along. And in this time, you're still in your mind thinking that you're, like 10 years ago when you're playing rugby, you're still in your mind thinking that you're this fit guy. You're gonna go in there. You're gonna smash it. You're gonna be one of the fittest guys there. So I was sorely mistaken. I was literally blowing within five minutes of the warm up. But I really enjoyed it. And this guy who took it, he really inspired me. And I was just like, I want to be like him. He is like, he's got this group of people that are listening to what he's saying. The training he's putting on was brilliant. And from that point on, I went home and I said to my wife, I said, I'm going to become a personal trainer. I'm just going to go and get qualified. So that's what I did. Tried to balance the two. So I was sort of doing one-on-one sessions in the morning. Then I was going to work. Mate, really hard. Then I joined like this local boot camp. So I didn't have to look for PT. I literally had like a session in the diary 2 or 3 mornings a week. I could go and do this local boot camp. And from that, I managed to get some extra clients to do PTs in the evening. But then, of course, I'm working from 6 in the morning right the way through till 9 o'clock at night every day.
Burns into time again, and you're back at square one. And this is where I bet you, I don't know who you did your qualifications with, but again, I bet no one told you the hard route of where you've got to now, of how hard it is. No one's probably gone and said, shit, it's not glorified as it's all made out. Oh yeah, you're going to earn 30 grand in your first year. Are you hell? Unless you are literally living in that gym or living at that boot camp, or you are incredibly lucky to have a Instagram following or a social media following of several 100,000 people who are going to come and do it with you.
Yeah. And it was really hard. And when you first start out as well, I mean, I live in Milton Keynes. Milton Keynes has thousands of personal trainers, literally thousands.
15.
I wasn't based in...
Sorry? When I started,
yeah.
And that's 2001, 2002. You're talking like, and I was just doing that part-time then. Full-time in 2005, there was over 15 personal trainers per square mile of MK.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. I'm probably more now.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So I literally, I didn't want to work in a gym. Because at the time in recruitment, we were earning quite well, and we had I had a big family to support, and that was the main sort of worry that I had, was giving it all up. Would I be able to earn the money to look after the kids, pay the mortgage, and all the rest of it?
Yeah.
And I was quite late on in life, so I was like 32. It wasn't like a child who's got all the energy in the world. I had say 5 kids and a mortgage, so it was pretty tough. From there, I did that for a couple of years, and then thought, you know what, I don't want to work for this boot camp anymore. I want to do my own thing. And then, crazily out of the blue, I got a phone call from the original personal trainer who I went and did the boot camp with, who inspired me to become a PT. He called me up. He said, look, I've seen some of your sessions. I've heard about some of your sessions. Do you want to come and work for me? I didn't. I didn't want to work for anyone else. I only wanted to work for myself. And then I did a couple of weeks for him. And then we agreed that actually we'd set up a separate business, Caveman Conditioning, together. Would use all of his expertise, all of my expertise, and that was kind of how it happened.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Like it's amazing to hear someone's story. This is why I'm doing this more. This is, yes, eventually, I'll monetize what I'm doing, but at this moment in time, I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I don't really need to. It's just nice to hear everyone's stories, get them out there, to inspire other people. But it's also an inspiration to me that, you've not gone down the what we call the most common route of, I'm going to become a PT, I'm going to do it on, get get my qualifications from a cardboard box, and yet I expect to have, 130 sessions a week, so on and so on and so on. But you haven't. You've done it the hard way, the graft way, and it's rare nowadays to find that. How long have you been going now? 2 years, 3 years, Caveman?
So yeah, Caveman, we started in Woburn on the 3rd of May. For the first couple of months, we had like 4 or 5 people come into the sessions. Then it slowly kind of started to get a little bit more traction. People started telling their friends, started bringing, their friends, and we built this really nice little community. And then on the 2nd of January, we set up Milton Keynes as well. So I've got 2 locations now. So one over, so I've got Woburn, which is the original one that we set up, and then one in Milton Keynes. And they're 2 very different locations, but the memberships that we run, you can use either or. So we're 7 days a week, 12 sessions a week at each location. And we're up to about, I think before COVID, we were just over 100 members.
Right, and you do that on a retention thing, or like a PD thing, so they pay X amount and they can do X amount of sessions, so on and so on. Is it, or you've broken up there, mate?
So basically we got.
I've lost you here, mate. There you are, back now.
I can hear you. So.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. So it's on a direct debit. They pay for the month, depending on how many sessions they want to do. It's there are different packages, but we also do pay as you go for people that want to just come to the one session. And we're not a typical boot camp, so that's the first thing. So our coaching philosophy is all about individualized, evidence-based training, which you kind of don't get in a boot camp and you don't get in a gym with a lot of guys. We're not obsessed with the before and after pictures. When we encourage our members not to as well, they can be really misleading. We focus on long-term, sustainable, holistic health changes, body and lifestyle. It's better to have a good session that you enjoy rather than chasing this dream of a 6-pack that potentially you're just never going to achieve. You might do, but I haven't got one. So
Right.
It's hard.
I like the philosophy of how you're doing it, and it's very much different. Like if you go to a typical like boot camp, you get the before and after, and that's sort of driven down your throat. Like F45, it's driven down your throat, and other boot camps out there. Yes, I believe, and as a PT and been doing it for many, many years now, I've always said to my clients, don't jump on a scale. Only do it once at the very beginning. Don't jump on it again. And don't give yourself a time limit, but use your clothes as your measurements. So if there is a nice bit of clothing that you want to wear for a wedding or something like that, but it's like a little bit uncomfortable at the moment, bring it to the front of your wardrobe. And then, every 2 weeks, try it on. And if you know it's getting a little bit loose and a little bit more comfortable, you're making progression. But if it isn't, you can't get disheartened by it because it's still a target you're going to drive for. It's not a number. It's not an actual fixation. It's a guidance for you to go, oh, yeah, okay, cool. Well, I might just want those pair of shorts, that I pulled out the back of my drawer, those nice board shorts I wore back in Oz or something, or, whatever it is. It's something easier and something more enjoyable to drive towards rather than, 68.8 on the scales.
Yeah, and actually that then becomes, this demotivating for people. And that's the other thing. They then don't hit the targets they want and they become demotivated rather than actually just enjoying the training.
Exactly.
And the other thing about us is, which again people find a little bit different, is we're not cheerleaders and we're not sergeant majors. So we're not shouting. I don't shout during a session. I walk round, I have a chat with people, motivate them. You know, if I know that someone needs a little kick or, you know, little push in the right direction, I might just have a little word here. But we're not shouting. We're not forcing people to do things they can't do. We've got different exercises for some people, so we screen them. So I might say, you know, you've got a real restriction in your shoulder. You can't lift barbell overhead. We're going to use dumbbells. You know, those kind of things. And actually, I think people like that. It's like they're not being forced to do hundreds of burpees because they can't do them.
Well, why would you want to make a session torturous? I don't get it. It's like when I used to work in the gym, people would, you know, young people.
I'm losing you there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Young PTs believe it's amazingly cool to be able to make their clients puke.
Yeah.
What's the enjoyment for that? I'd rather keep my client paying me and having money coming in rather than making someone puke.
Yeah, and like we hear it a lot. You know, people think that getting DOMs is a sign of a good session. I got really bad DOMs. I can't walk today. Must have been a really good session. Well, if you can't train the next day, that's not a good session.
Huh.
You know, if you can't, you know, if you aren't able to keep the consistency because your training is damaging you too much, then you're not going to make the progress that you want because you can only train once, twice a week. Yeah. Whereas our guys, you know, we're looking at movement control. We're looking at their techniques. Everything we do is evidence-based around the fundamentals: squat, push, pull, hip hinge, lunge. That's what we build our sessions around. Make them stronger in those areas so that they can train. They do get longevity out of their training, and you know, you haven't had someone for 6 months that all of a sudden leaves you because you've beasted them to within an inch of their life. It's just not the way to do it, in my view.
Well, no, mate, I totally agree with your view. It's unfortunately it's a lot out there. This is I had this debate the other day with a mate of mine who owns a gym up north, who's on another podcast. I've got to finish editing. And we used to both have I'm not going to mention the provider. We both were franchised to that provider for training, for becoming PTs. And we both agree that there should be some form of regulations now. Like, you know, look, I'm not saying neither of you are qualified, because, you know, I wouldn't imply that. But what's saying, you know, you guys could have just walked off the street, gone, right, yeah, I went to this boot camp, but we're going to change it up. We're going to do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this. You know, but I've known you for like, what, 15 plus years, and like you're particular about things. You're particular about playing rugby when we used to play rugby as fun, you know. So
yeah,
but you must get it. You must come across how many like boot camp stroke outdoor training companies, or the equivalent to F45, shall we say, for mentioning a name, that style of training with yourselves. How many companies are there, would you say, there are in Milton Keynes alone? Probably, what, 20, 30?
Yeah, and you're getting a lot of these guys who are just popping up. They've got, you know, they've done well with their PTs, so they pop up and they do their small boot camps as well. So they're always coming. I think where we are really strong is that community. So we've got a great community. Everyone loves their t-shirts. Everyone wants to represent the brand. They've built friendships out of it. They want to train with people, and actually they know the training they're getting is quality training. We take real pride in our CPD, so our continual personal development. We work with really high level strength and conditioning coaches to make sure that what we're delivering is up to date, it's relevant, and we're giving the best to our members. And that, in my view, isn't, you know, a workout which involves 100 press-ups, 100 burpees, 100 squats, 100 sit-ups, and twice round 4 or 5 lampposts or trees in a field. That's not a workout. Well, no, that is a workout, but it's not training. It's not getting these guys to where their potential is.
Yeah, well, it's not. You're not using mass resistance to take the muscle into overload. to hypertrophy, to increase muscle growth, stimulants. None of that. Anyone can stand there as be sergeant major and go 20 burpees, straight down now, straight into 20 squat thrusts, straight into a hill sprint. That does, to me, doesn't make sense. And then to have,
it puts people off as well. It puts people off as well, Chris. People don't want to come to a training session like that. If you look at our demographic, we've got some really fit 60s, 65-year-old guys who are training with us because we're not breaking them down. They can still train. They're still there. But then we've still got the younger guys, the ex-rugby players or the mums who want to stay fit and healthy. We've got a real broad range, and I think that is because of the training that we do. It's not pushing people to the limits.
Yeah, no, it certainly sounds interesting, man. I'd love to, come along and have a butcher's at it at some stage. But mate, with this, do you feel that the industry needs to change up a lot of its training, as well as educating trainers already?
Yeah, so I think that is starting to happen. I think you're starting to see, certainly in social media, which is obviously, it has its good sides, it had its bad sides, but I think there are definitely guys out there now that are starting to realise that you have to train people properly. You have to have decent education around it, and you've got to educate your members. And some members don't want to hear it. I've got members who will say to me, Neil, I don't like the fact that we're doing intervals. I don't like the fact that I feel like I'm resting too much. And I'm saying, well, if you're resting too much, you've got to work harder in the interval. And they still go, no, I want to be going, full blast for an hour. Well, that's fine. Some members don't want to know, but I think that's because the education isn't out there. People aren't telling them that.
Yeah.
And I think there's definitely a change. There are certainly guys out there that I've seen who are trying to influence people to change the way they train, and I think that's important.
So per session, roughly how many people do you have in per session?
So we are anywhere between 20 to 24 people, 24 being the max.
Right.
And we'll run 2 sessions a day. So, we'll do a 6:30 and a 7:30, and we'll probably have about the same in each. Sometimes it can be more. I'm expecting after COVID, the sessions to be pretty high. But again, that's too many, really. I mean, really, I wouldn't want many more than 16. 16 would be my maximum that I want to, because then I can get around and I can coach people. And actually, I can look at areas that need a bit of work on. But just because of the way that we've grown, we're kind of trying to accommodate as many people as possible. But we'll have 2 coaches in there, so it'll be me and another coach if we get that sort of number. So again, that's sort of 12 to 1. 12 to 1.
I think you're hitting limits at 12 to 1, maybe 15 to 1 tops. In my opinion, to get around decently, you're never always going to be perfect, but you look at like MK Boot Camp, for instance, right? I know that they were some years ago, 30 to 40 people per session. And I'm just thinking, even with 2 trainers in there, how are you looking after people's techniques? And I was fortunate. I had a client whose partner ended up going to that and ended up tearing her Achilles. Because, do you know what they did? They got her doing reverse lunges down a hill. Slipped, tore Achilles.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, right.
But those environments, mate, they're not about fitness. They're about beasting people. So everything's done quickly. They're your 100 press ups, your 100 burpees, and that's where people get injured.
Definitely. So, mate, I'm really interested. So, obviously, do you just carry all your stuff around with you in a van, and you've got barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells, or in each place? I know at Woburn you've got the football club, because I know Woburn.
Yeah.
Been there many times.
Yep.
Do you just keep your kit there and
yeah. So we've got Yeah, so we've got we're all equipment. So it's dumbbells, barbells, kettlebells, prowlers, sleds, trap bars. It's all that kind of equipment.
Nice.
It's not pure strength. We're not training pure strength, but it's equipment that people don't often use. We do have other classes, so we've got a class called Strong, which is more of like a strongman type class. For people that just want something a little bit different. It's less focused on the energy system training and more on the strength focus. But yeah, we do all that kind of thing. So farmers walks, we've got big heavy sandbags that people throw their shoulders. It's equipment based interval training.
Cool. So where do you see yourself? Obviously, we have COVID. How have you dealt with COVID? Get that the elephant out of the room. But how have you dealt with COVID so far?
Like everyone, we've gone online. We're doing they're not the same sessions that are in our normal classes. They can't be because people have that equipment at home. But they are, we're sticking to our principles. We're sticking to our, solid 20-minute warm up. We're sticking to our 30 minutes of conditioning, and we're sticking to our 10-minute at the end of some form of stability around trunk, shoulder region, hamstrings, whatever. So we're sticking to the principles that we always train to. They don't change. The exercises might have to change to accommodate people who aren't who don't have barbells, etc.
Exactly. So how's your training going through this whole COVID-19?
Well, I'm doing 4 sessions of Caveman a week, so I'm feeling pretty fit. It's I've gone from coaching the sessions to actually taking part of them online because but yeah, it's been good. I mean, my own personal training. I've done a few strongman competitions, under 90 kilo strongman competitions. I've done a few fitness events. So I like to mix things up and sort of they're not CrossFit events, but they're fitness type events, Superhuman Games and a few other bits.
CrossFit,
yeah, sort of without the technical elements.
Yeah, we'll go with the technicals. You are a CrossFitter.
Yeah, I hate all that.
Neil, don't contact me again now. You're a CrossFitter. That's it.
No, mate, I'm not. I'm not. And Caveman is nothing like CrossFit. But I've done a few of those. So I'm still doing my strength work. I'm still doing my deadlifting and my log lifting and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm okay. I'm not too bad. I know a lot of people have struggled, and a lot of my members have struggled, and they don't like the online stuff. So it's the sooner we get out of COVID, the better, as far as I'm concerned for the business. Obviously not.
What's the future for Caveman then? Obviously, you've expanded to MK. What's next after that?
I think for us, we just want to solidify the training that we're doing in the 2 locations in Milton Keynes, Woburn, and just become that go-to place. We want people to come and train properly and see that that's what we're doing. So there's no plans to expand any more around the local area. I think two's enough at the moment. My business partner's got one in Olney as well. So Stuart, he runs Olney one. So there's 3 in total. I think actually at the moment, we've got to look at the world's changing. COVID's changed. We've got online sessions. We've got sessions for kids, Cave Kids. We've got sessions for seniors, Cave Seniors. There are all these different things now where people are realising that they can access stuff online. So that might be somewhere where we go. I think we'll definitely always have an online presence from now on. That won't be our focus. It won't be our main session. We won't stop doing the sessions. But I think, somewhere along the line, that might be the way forward. I don't know. It's difficult times at the moment because we're not sure where the world's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. I think, like I said earlier, I think the fitness industry has changed massively, and it's going to change. It's going to continue changing. I feel from my side of it, looking from outside in now, not being like affiliated with prepping anyone at the moment or a gym or anything like that. I think a lot of the newbies will struggle. I think a lot of people will think that I can become a PT. I've done my course while COVID was, happening, and go online. And I think there'll be a dangerous part to all of this, and that's the sad part that I'm probably pretty worried about. Is a lot of people will be misled. A lot of people, this information, that information. I had someone the other day who was asking me. Someone was asking me about some stuff about information online. I'm like, I said you could go onto 5 different sites and there'd be 5 different answers on your one question. And there's no right or wrong answer. And I think that it was a girl. And I said, there's no right or wrong answer. What might work for you might not work for me. I remember when ages ago, you were speaking to me about diet and stuff with me. And I said, what might work for me, what's worked for me has worked, but it might not work for you. So I can tell you what, we can play around with your macros and your carb intake to your protein intake to your fat intake, but it's about controlling it and looking at it over a period of time. And what happens? Did you do it? And did you lose? Hello. We've lost Neil, unfortunately. He's disappeared on us. We might come back.
I lost a little bit. It was, are you still there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I did actually. I did take your advice and I did lose a little bit. But like you said, I think it's people, it's so difficult just to like one size fits all. Depends on lifestyle. It depends on what what your preferences are. When you're training in the morning, you're training in the evening, you're training midday. So like you say, there's so many different people out there who are preaching what they believe to be correct.
It's gospel. It's not. Oh well, this might work. No, this is how to do it. If you don't do it, that's it. No, nothing. It won't work for you. Otherwise, it's my way or the highway. And people just like this and just don't know how to. But it's worrying that now in this sort of era now, it's going to be online a lot more.
Yeah, and I think the fitness industry it's jumped forward 10 years, isn't it? It's like now all of a sudden everything's going to be online, whereas that might happen in 10 years' time, but actually because of COVID, it's not happening now, and that's where a lot of people feel that they, through Instagram and all these platforms where they can start making money. And actually, the thing that I value the most about what we do at Caveman and my own personal training is that one-on-one contact with people. I don't feel on doing the online stuff you can have that. You can't affect people the way you can when you can see them face to face.
Right.
And people might not agree with that, and some people will say, "Well, no, you can because we have Zoom calls or whatever." But actually, I think to get to know somebody is really key, and that personal element for me is really important.
It is.
That's just my view.
No, mate. I totally agree. And I've done it on both big scales. Like my Facebook group was at 5,000, 113 countries. I have people speaking to me about prep all the time on that. You can't beat that one thing at all. You can. We'll put it this way. I'll use an example. My last client in Oz who tore up the stage, grew massively in a year. She did amazing, right? PJ, her name was, and when 90% of the time when PJ was with me was online, but there was a time before I moved back. I was with her for 7 weeks. I lived up at her house she had a self-contained apartment on the front of her house, and I lived with her, and it didn't beat the training. Those 6 weeks well, like, every day. We had Saturdays and Sundays off. It's family time, or we would go and do something in Saturday morning. She was busy earlier in the week, but Sunday was a rest day, complete rest day. And those 6 weeks, we smashed it. And and even to unfortunately we don't speak anymore. But I will tell you now, if you saw the videos, I've got it on video, and one day I'll put it all up. But if you saw the massive difference in a year, and I would say that 6 weeks helped so much to her year's development, it was ridiculous, because it was training hard. Like she was blowing out, but it wasn't hard as in, like you're saying, I'm killing her to the point of where she's puking up and she's got DOMs that she can't do a cardio the next day, or she can't actually do shoulder press because I've beaten her chest up so badly, and things like that. It was a hard session, and her development was major because it's one-on-one. And I don't think you'll ever replace one-on-one training and get the results that you do from one-on-one training. But I do feel that the industry is going to go away from that big time.
Yeah, I say, I just hope that, I can definitely see it. I definitely think there is more people out there who are trying to educate personal trainers to do things the right way. You get qualified, then I personally felt that I was qualified. I thought I knew it all. And then all of a sudden you start doing some proper development with some proper strength and conditioning coaches, and you start realizing that you don't know anything. And actually, for me, it was really humbling. It was like, oh my God, if I'd known this, if I know what I knew now when I was playing rugby, I would have been so much better. I would have been so much fitter, so much stronger, and I might have actually had a better career out of it. But but I didn't. But this is the thing. A lot of personal trainers. That's all I'd say to those guys. Is actually just make sure that you go and you do your continual development, your continual personal development. You hunt out people that are going to teach you about the proper way to train energy systems, the proper way to get people stronger, proper way to rehab people. It's so important that you don't make someone do an exercise that's going to make them worse. And just have some thought around the way you train people. That's all.
Yeah, well, I got taught very, very early on in my career, just after I passed actually, is basically your knowledge should be classed as a dangerous weapon. Because technically you could kill someone on a technicality with your knowledge. So, and it might just be one split second, it might be a mistake. It might not have gone down to your due diligence of background check on your client. How it's like, from my point of view, like I've always had all my clients who have ever competed that I demand, and they won't be my client until they've had a blood test. So where they're at, I will consult with someone who knows how to do it all out to a T. But some people just just take this, do that, do this, do that. It's all right, it's fine, no worries. But yeah, no, I'm really excited for you, mate. I'm glad that you've done the big jump into the world of PT, and
thank you, mate.
And Caveman's doing amazingly well and stuff like that. Where can everyone get hold of you? Where's best? Obviously, I'm going to get you to send the links over so I can put them in video descriptions and stuff like that. But obviously, where's best?
Yeah, so we've obviously got a website, which is www.cavemanconditioning.co.uk. You can go on there. You can see our full timetable, where our locations are at. Obviously, we're on Instagram as well, at Caveman CMK. So Caveman CMK on Instagram. So you can see us there. Gives you a breakdown of everything that we're doing. So yeah, that's where we're at the moment.
Cool, mate. Well, thanks very much for giving up your time today. And
no, thanks for having me on.
And definitely might have you on as a guest for doing strongman stuff. maybe if you're interested. And what we might do is pop up one day once the beloved COVID-19's out of the way. No, you're not getting me doing a session. I'll come and record it. I'm quite happily see you, and we'll put it up on my YouTube channel and get it out and start, promoting you a little bit more that way as well. But
that'd be great.
show people how to train. It's really important. But again, thanks very much for coming on. And basically, next time we might get your partner on as well, your business partner.
Yeah, definitely.
Do a three-wayer or something on a top.
Yeah, that'd be good.
But thanks very much again for today, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future, mate.
Thanks so much for having me on, Chris. Appreciate it, mate. Cheers.